Hello everyone, today we're going to paint a bulb ornament, make it look nice and round. Alright, I got my background started here and I'm going to trace a circle that will be right around the center of this. I'm going to give you a very quick background lesson on how I actually made the background for my bulb. So I started with some yellow, and I got cool yellow, and I got cerulean blue, and I do have some Mars black. And all I'm doing is I'm taking a big brush, and I do have some water by, and I'm gonna mix some of my blue and yellow to make my green. And I really just go pretty random. I want it to be a little darker, so you don't have to use green, you can use whatever color you really want. I kind of tend to say, like, whatever color your bulb is gonna be, you want there to be a contrast. So think about what you want to do with that. And by the way, if you want a nice edge on your painting, you can use some tape and go around the outside. Okay, so pretty random, like I said. And then I'm going to add a little bit of black on my brush and just kind of paint in some of my black. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to put on some of my printable objects. Okay, now this is basically all dry. So what I'm going to be doing is getting a few little objects that can be printed, and I'm going to stamp them on there. So whatever you can find that gives it a little texture, and you pop it in the paint and you just kind of pop them on there a little bit. Let's try this one for this. So I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of paint and do a couple pops of these colors. And you always wanna try this out. Try it out on a scrap piece of paper first before you put it right on your piece. Okay, and you're gonna see something like that. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't do it. Another cool thing is to use just some water and blotter, and you can kind of just spray some water on there and then just blot. I feel like it might just kind of bring up a little bit of some of the paint and kind of like blend it a little bit. So that's kind of neat. If you just use a little bit of water, just spray it on there and just let it sit for a second, and then you just use your rag and you blot it. Okay, I think I got enough here, so I am going to finish this up and we'll go on to the bulb. Okay, I've got my circle traced, and I'm gonna get started with some pinks and purples. So I'm gonna mix this actually a little bit. So here we go. I start by mixing my purple color. By doing this, I can get all different tones and shades of the color. Then I start by slowly and carefully gliding my brush along the edge of the traced circle. To help the paint glide, I dip the tip of my brush into a little water. Acrylic paints can get very sticky because they dry quickly. Remember to add a little water before this happens. If you want a nice clean edge, focus and take your time. Brush in a circular motion around the bulb to keep its roundness. I always recommend working from a reference. Place a bulb ornament in front of you or work from a photo. Even if you're doing something a little different from the reference, you can still see where the highlights are, shadows, and where light bounces back around the bulb. Refer to the real thing as a guide. I mix in a little more white where I see light hitting the bulb in a circular motion. I continue to blend the paint where it is wet. It's easier to blend the light into the dark paint rather than the other way around. I can see light bouncing off of the outside edge just slightly, So I carefully paint a fine line of very light purple around the edge. I continue to dip the tip of the brush in water so that the paint glides smoothly. Now I start looking for the darker areas in the bulb. I mix some darker purple and paint next to the edge, leaving some of that light bounce back on the very edge. I continue darkening an area towards the bottom, looking at my reference to notice what the shape of the dark space actually looks like. Then I fade off some of the dark areas while leaving some more of the drastic color change, always keeping with the roundness of the bulb. I add in more of the red-purple accent to have a bit more variety in the color. Now I'm finding the strong bounces of light, and I hit them up with a super light purple, almost white. I add a little more white to my brush to make the top, and use some of the leftover purple on my brush for texture. I have a few more finishing touches to enhance the bulb, and then I will finish the background. I mix a little black and white with water and use a small tip brush to paint a very faint hanging line. Now I take a plastic fork. I already broke off 2 of the spokes, so there's 2 spokes left on the fork. I mix up some green paint with my yellow and blue. I put the fork into the paint and try printing it. I practice on a scrap piece of paper before printing directly on my painting. I press in some lines which I want to represent needles on a pine tree. It's really fun to try some different things to stamp or print into the background of this painting. I got those little circles in the background by printing the top of a glue stick. Okay, I think I'm almost done here. Just one more thing I need to do. Sign it, and I'm good to go. I hope you enjoyed these tips on how I paint a round bulb ornament. Good luck with your own, and I'll see you next time. Bye.